There are some things you'll sometimes hear in a relationship that just scream narcissism. And that is what I'm unpacking today. 8 phrases that scream the person you're dealing with has a destructive narcissist personality pattern. Let's do it. Hey friends, Tamie M. Joyce here, empowerment life coach, creator of the Freedom class and the Ascension class. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please take a second to say hello and introduce yourself in the comment section below. And of course, if you're back, welcome back. Thanks for showing up and for tuning in. Either way, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. You know, people always tell us who they are, and usually pretty early on. The trick is to be paying attention and tell ourselves the truth about what we're seeing, hearing, and feeling. When we're armed with the right information and we're willing to tell ourselves the dirt honest truth about what people are telling us about themselves, we're much more able to discern whether or not we're dealing with someone who's coming from a good, genuine, decent, and sincere place versus someone who's operating from a fake persona behind a mask with malevolent intent. Let's dive into 8 phrases that scream narcissism so you can discern exactly who and what you're dealing with early on and take good care of yourself in the process. Number 1, we're perfect for each other. Now, this is the kind of thing that a narcissist will say to you very early in the relationship while they are quite literally love bombing you. And they do this with intent to get you hooked and fast. And naturally, there can be times when we meet someone and actually feel a deep connection right away. But in most cases, real, healthy, genuine connection is something that takes time to develop. So yes, it's possible that you'll meet someone who immediately feels genuine admiration or respect for you and wants to genuinely and sincerely express that. But that's not what's going on when a narcissist prematurely declares how perfect you are for one another. Remember, the narcissist doesn't actually have a genuine sense of admiration or respect for anyone. Rather, the narcissist only sees the reflected projection of their own false persona initially, which quickly transitions to the reflected projection of their disowned shadow. And that's when things start going sideways. In order for the narcissist to hook you as a captive audience and a reliable source of narcissistic supply, you'll likely hear the words, "You're perfect," or even, "I love you," very quickly. And the bottom line is this: premature declarations of intense feelings and moving way too quickly in the early stages of a relationship, any relationship, are a big red flag. So don't be flattered by any of this, especially if you have a history of attracting empathy-impaired emotional manipulators who feel entitled to hurt you. Instead, you'll want to pace yourself and take your time getting to know who you're dealing with before you allow yourself to be swept up in what could potentially be another disaster. It takes time to get to know people, so take your time and pay attention while you're at it. Number 2, my ex is crazy. Now, when you hear this, especially very early in the relationship, pay very close attention. Sure, it's possible you've met someone who has legitimately been victimized by their ex. It's also possible that they're saying this to vilify their ex and cast themselves as the victim, when in reality, the exact opposite is the truth. They were the villain the whole time, but that won't be their story. If the narcissist can succeed in manipulating you into believing that they were terribly treated, deeply wounded, and/or exploited somehow, and convey that their hope is maybe you'll be different, special, better, and more forgiving of their shortcomings and the shitty way they show up in the relationship, because they've really been through it, know this: when someone feels compelled to vilify their previous partner or partners, you're next. You'll end up being the crazy one in their narrative down the line. The moment they know you're onto them and they aren't going to be able to have their way with you, you'll be called difficult and crazy, at the very least. And you'll also be the one who didn't said all the awful things the narcissist is getting ready to do and say to you. True story. Number 3, you're too sensitive. And they say this for no other reason than they don't have the decency or integrity to acknowledge or admit that their words have hurt you deeply. So they project blame and shame and make it all your fault. The bottom line message is, you're the issue. You're so sensitive. You're so emotional. You're overreacting. Again. Narcissistic people will not, under any circumstances, own up to or accept responsibility for their toxic and hurtful attitudes and behavior. Unless, of course, you've had enough and they're in real jeopardy of losing what they know full well is a good thing. In that case, they might say the bare minimum of whatever it is they think you need to hear if it serves to manipulate you and suck you back into the dysfunctional dynamic. Only then might they be willing to say just enough to slime their way back into your good graces. They'll say only what's necessary in terms of owning up to any inconvenience, discomfort, or pain they may have caused you or others. Barring their being in jeopardy of losing you for real, and they don't have another source of supply already lined up, and assuming they're feeling pretty confident and comfortable in the relationship, then you can count on the fact that they will always say whatever it takes, no matter how untrue, cruel, or bizarre, to get you to believe that you're at fault because you're too something. You're too sensitive, too needy. You're too much of this or too little of that. You're the issue because, of course, you have issues, and therefore it follows that you're to blame for everything. In addition, they'll feel entitled to target you and put you down publicly, and possibly even go so far as to try to humiliate you in front of others, and then have the audacity to gaslight you by telling you that you can't take a joke. Again, you're just too sensitive. That's the real problem. Then they'll do everything possible to rationalize, justify, minimize, and make excuses for their harmful behavior. They feel entitled to cut you, rub salt in the wound, and then ridicule you for having a legitimate feeling about it. Then they'll attempt to gaslight you by saying, "What are you even talking about? What's wrong with you?" If you let them. Don't let them. Now, comment below and let me know whether or not you're finding this video helpful. Let me know in the comments section below. Also, if you'd like to learn more about the possibility of working with me in one of my coaching programs, there's a link in the description below this video where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-to-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. Number 4, you're jealous and so insecure. You have trust issues. Now, when you start paying attention to your gut instincts and all the things you're observing that just don't add up, and all the holes in all their stories, as well as the rationalization and justification nonsense they use in an attempt to distract you from the real issues and deflect attention and responsibility away from themselves, suddenly the issue will have to be that you're jealous and so insecure. And clearly, you have trust issues. If it's not that, then who or what might the issue actually be, right? So the narcissist will shift blame while deflecting and projecting all of their own issues, feelings of insecurity and inadequacy onto you in an attempt to avoid having the light of truth shone on who and what they actually are and what they've actually been up to. No matter what has gone on, they'll make the situation all about you and you're being jealous and insecure or otherwise problematic, as opposed to facing and dealing with the real issue at hand. And the truth is, honest, sincere, and genuine people don't need to scapegoat you by playing these emotionally and psychologically abusive games. But for a narcissist, there's no other way. The survival of their false persona literally depends on you and your so-called insecurities being the problem. And along these lines, you'll also hear phrases like, "You always make such a big deal out of nothing," or "I can't believe you think this," or "believe I did that." And another thing you'll often hear is, "That's in the past. How long are you going to stay bitter? Get over it already." And they do this with deliberate intent to destabilize and invalidate you and cause you to doubt yourself. And this is especially true if you're an empath, because whenever there's conflict, you'll have a natural tendency to go within and question and second guess yourself and your motives and behavior. Maybe I am the problem. Since you would never deliberately deflect responsibility, blame, shame, and project onto another human being in this fashion, the way the narcissist does, you'll naturally assume that the person you're dealing with wouldn't either. But if you're dealing with someone with a destructive narcissist personality pattern, you couldn't be more wrong. Everything is about them, except, of course, their mistakes, shortcomings, and their damaging and destructive behavior. That, according to them, has to be all about you. Believe it or not, deep down, narcissists are malicious and operate from a fundamental place of malevolent intent. They rather enjoy intentionally shaking your sense of security until you are entirely dependent on their version of reality, as if it's the gospel truth. They enjoy causing you to question yourself and your perception of reality. They want you to doubt yourself and what you know to be true. And if they can get you to believe there's a distorted version of reality, bullseye, they've got you. And this, my friends, is how the narcissist works to gaslight you. And if you want to learn more about gaslighting, you can watch this video here. Number 5, no wonder nobody likes you. Now, this is a direct message to make you feel worthless and, of course, further solidify the notion that you're the problem, always. That this cuts deep and hurts your feelings is exactly what the narcissist is after. People ask me all the time, does the narcissist know? Do they realize how hurtful they're being? And to be honest, that's the wrong question. It's not that they don't know. They know. The real issue is they don't care at all. In fact, the more high on the spectrum of destructive narcissism they are, the more likely it is that they actually get a sick kick out of hurting you the way they do. Sad, but true. Number 6, it's not my fault. You made me do it. Now, when you hear this, know that the narcissist is not only shifting blame, again, in order to avoid accountability and responsibility for the appalling way they show up in the relationship, but they're also attempting to manipulate you emotionally. And the fundamental message here is your emotions, your experience, your feelings aren't valid. Moreover, your pain is your problem and has nothing to do with them or how they've been treating you. They want to be able to do and say whatever they want without consequence or pushback. So when you react and call them out, they'll say, it's not my fault, it's your fault. Now here's the thing. When a relatively healthy and empathetic person has a legitimate reaction to the pain the narcissist inflicts, whether it be one big shocking attempt to gaslight you or some colossal lie you've uncovered, for example, if they've lied to you about something either outright or by calculated omission, any lie, big or small, and the discovery of that lie naturally has a negative impact on your relationship, no matter what has gone on, it will be all your fault. According to them, you'll be to blame for, if nothing else, not being able to handle the truth. And this, of course, will be because you have issues. Crazy making, soul-destroying stuff. But this is the reality when dealing with narcissistic people. It doesn't have to make sense. As long as they can sidestep responsibility, they're good. And here's what's true. No matter what they say to you, no matter how they spin, twist, or distort reality, or rewrite history to suit their own needs, which they often do, to suit their needs, to cover their own ass, to cover up their relationship crimes. Classic stuff. Either way, you, my friend, are not responsible for the destructive way that they show up in your relationship. You are not now, nor have you ever been responsible for another person's choice, actions, behavior, or attitude towards you, or anything else for that matter. You're responsible for you, period. Number 7, I didn't say that. It should be clear by now that a narcissist is running their own agenda. And that agenda includes keeping you in a state of confusion, fear, and insecurity, while keeping themselves in a perceived position of superiority. And in order to accomplish that, they'll go out of their way to knock you off balance and keep you there by saying things and then fully denying they ever said the thing. And when confronted with the facts, including any black or white evidence that you might have in your possession, narcissistic people will often maintain that they didn't say that. They'll try to convince you that they didn't say what they know full well they said and you heard. Or when they're left with no other alternative, you took it wrong. They didn't mean it that way. And of course, you misunderstood and are getting it all wrong again. And the truth is, covert narcissists play this game a lot. And if you want to learn more about covert narcissism, you can watch this video here. Number 8, that never happened. Please. This is a classic gaslighting technique that they'll use hoping to confuse you and make you question your perception of reality and your sanity. Their hope is that you will believe them or, like I said, at the very least, be confused, second-guess yourself, and drop the whole thing, taking the onus and the focus off of them. Here's what you need to know about this one. They are lying, period. Narcissists are liars. They lie with tremendous ease and zero regret, guilt, shame, or remorse for the detrimental impact their lies have on you, emotionally, psychologically, or otherwise. The next time the narcissist says, "That didn't happen," when you know full well it did, simply say, "Oh," and turn on your heel and walk away. Not another word. Do not engage. Do not lower yourself by arguing with the narcissist about what you both know full well actually happened. Instead, let your silence speak for itself. See it for what it is, and see the narcissist for who they are. The truth is, you have a lying manipulator on your hands. This person couldn't give a flying bleep about you and your well-being, and you couldn't put a dent in what's going on with them in that regard. So tell yourself the truth, and then go do what you need to do to take good care of yourself. Hopefully, by removing yourself from the dynamic entirely, or at the very least, getting the ball moving in that direction so you can be free from this person and their crazy-making, soul-destroying games. Because here's what's true. Narcissists do not change. That's right. They don't change. So know that the experience you're currently having with them is only going to get worse, not better, over time. And it's your job to do what you need to do to take care of yourself. It's time now. And on that note, I'm going to call it a wrap. But before I go, you should know that the Ascension class is open for enrollment. Now, this is for you if you're ready and able to invest in yourself, you're ready to shift your identity, master the law of attraction, heal your relationship with money, and put a full stop end to the limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviors that are holding you back and preventing you from living your best life. If you're ready to reinvent yourself from the inside out, create your dream life by design, and finally become the you were always meant to be, click on the link in the description below this video to apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team.